So tonight we're delving into a topic that has been discussed for thousands of years. Drugs, drug abuse, and drug use. And throughout history, people have used drugs for various reasons. In ancient times, drugs often served as painkillers or healing agents, where modern medicines was in absence. Some cultures even incorporated drugs into religious rituals back in the day. However, we now live in a whole new world, a modern world, and the reasons for drug use have evolved. So Trace has asked me to talk very briefly about the event I've done in my local mosque, where we've had people aged between 10, 15, 20, and a couple of people aged 70 and 80, and even their minds were blown. And they were left with a sense of urgency to take action. Like myself, when I attended the first drug-free world event, I think 6 months ago? I think it was December, wasn't it? December, yeah. So a few things I spoke about at the event, and I custom made a presentation for it due to the people that were there, of course. I started with the reasons why people resort to drugs, why people turn to it. And there's multiple reasons. There's obviously recreational use, there's coping mechanisms, peer pressure is a very, very big issue. I myself only went to school. It's 10 years now, isn't it? Where I was offered drugs daily by friends, people I called friends, for asking me to use it. Curiosity, self-medication, enhancement of performance, and childhood trauma. I don't know if everyone knows, but nearly 70 to 80% of why people resort to drugs is because of childhood trauma, because they've been exposed to it at such a young age. Escapism, we saw that in the video. Social, cultural influences, as well as the physical effects it has on the body. People like it. And one thing I also touched on quite a lot before I even talked about what drugs are and what the different types are is the consequences of using drugs, because that will turn people away immediately. So there's obviously social consequences, isolation, stigmatization, legal issues, financial strain. We have family consequences, breakdowns of relationships, breakdowns of family, close family, neglect from parents, and also intergenerational effects, as well as the health consequences, which I think some people have touched on already. That can include mental health, physical health, dependency, and obviously addiction. And I spoke quite a lot on addiction, actually. Mainly the steps to addiction. So some people say it's not an overnight thing, it starts slow. So there's obviously the initial use, and that could be from a gateway drug like marijuana, like a little bit of LSD or something like that, to changes in the brain, tolerance changes, you can take more, you can feel more. Then you have physical dependence, your body says, oh, I need this to carry on. Psychological dependence, your brain tells you, yes, this is good, it helps me concentrate, it helps me move on. Then it changes your whole brain structure, you can't survive without it. Environmental changes, and then that includes the whole endless cycle of addiction. And many people may class themselves as general users. I only use it occasionally with my friends on special occasions, but that is the first step, the second or third step to addiction. So we have to be very careful. I talked a little bit briefly about the stigma related to drug users. It's very important because even before I learned about drug-free work, before I started doing events or human trafficking awareness and so on, I was looking at how people view others. How do you view victims? And I call them victims because they are. Sometimes it's not even their fault they get into this situation. And a lot of the time the stigma related to it is people look down on them. This includes discrimination, social exclusion, barriers to employment and moving up in life, as well as housing and access to the correct healthcare. We also touched on the different types of drugs. Obviously, there's so much to go through, but hallucinogens, stimulants, depressants, marijuanas, opiates, there's so many going out there, as well as obviously the different classes and how bad they are. I just want to ask a few questions about some statistics there, guys. What percentage of the UK population between the ages of 16 and 59, so the average adult age, was reported to using a drug in the last 12 months? Shout out some percentages. Anyone else? How much? 2%. Whoa, dreaming. It is 9.5%. Office for National Statistics. 2023, That's 3 million people. You mentioned that earlier. 3 million people have used drugs, adults. Right, what about young people? What percentage of young adults within the age of 16 to 24 have used an illicit drug in the last 12 months? 15? 18? Anyone? It's just over 20%. 20% of young people. That's a lot of people. You know, you can just walk in the street. Them, her, them, they use it. And that's over 1.5 million people. It's incredible. And last question, guys. The cost of society, the cost of drugs to society here in the UK. So that includes, you know, not just the use, but also seizures and offences. Give us a number. It's in the billions, guys. 30 billion. 230. It's 21 billion. 21 billion pounds it costs taxpayers money because of drugs, because of offences, because of the use. So this is why I thought I had to do something. And as the director of Stop Human Trafficking Worldwide, my charity I set up with SAF and Dr. Sheikh Ramsey, I felt like, and as obviously a public speaker and a person in my community, I want to explore this. You touched on a few things. For example, like the nitrous oxide, that's very prevalent in my community in northwest London. You see it everywhere, outside the shops, outside the shopping centres, in the car parks, and people don't know how bad it is. They just like it, gone, oh, I'm in a dream world. But it reacts with the nitrous oxide, it depletes the B12 in the body, and it causes brain damage. And people take tons of these, one after the other. It's horrible. That and marijuana are very prevalent in my community, and those are the two things that I'm trying to work on, to educate people about it. And I was speaking to someone just here earlier, and a lot of people ask me, what can I do to get involved? And if you have a lot of time, if you're a public speaker in the community, grab a kit. Grab an education kit, even grab a few leaflets and give them out. Talk to people you know, talk to communities. If you have a little bit of time, work with Drug Free World, where they go out and they give these leaflets, they talk to people in the public. And if you don't have any time at all, the least you can do is just to show your support in subliminal messages. I've got here, end human trafficking, raise voices and break chains. You sit on the train, people read it. They say, yes, oh, I see that, okay, I don't know what that's about. It's in my mind now. They're thinking about it, they'll dream about it. They'll know, they see it every day. And this is the basic thing, the most basic thing we can do. So one by one, everyone in their own small steps, and we are working together to raise awareness and combat this very, very big issue in the UK and obviously across the world. So thank you very much for giving me your time.